This episode and every episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show is brought to you by Ironmonger Brewing. Visit Ironmonger at their tap room in Marietta, Georgia, or online at ironmongerbrewing.com.
Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yo, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt.
Welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're broadcasting from the Beer Guys Radio Studios in Marietta, Georgia. And this week, we're talking with Second Self Beer Company. I'm Tim Dennis, and with me as always is my good friend and co-host, Brian Hewitt.
Hey, Tim. Joining us today, we have Jason Santamaria, the co-founder and beer architect of Second Self Beer Company. We're going to talk about Second Self's changes in their branding and their focus, their new beers, and other fun stuff like distributing beer in Puerto Rico. How do you even do that? Jason, thanks for joining us.
As always a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Man. It's been...
I love your new digs.
Thank you. This is your first time in the new
That's
studio,
right.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Jason was on... Oh, man, it's been 2-3 years ago, right?
Yeah, about
Back
that, yeah.
Because we were at our original studio in the radio station in Atlanta.
That's right,
and
in Buckhead.
In
yeah.
Buckhead, yes. And now we're independent. We're independent, our own fancy pants studio, clubhouse beer locker here. And,
I mean, the green room had champagne and everything.
It did.
It was so
man.
nice.
You know what? If you're going to do it, Jason, you really need to do it
yeah.
right.
I need to
So,
come back more often. I'll just sit in the green room if you want me to.
That's it. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Fun fact, that was the first time I ever co-hosted the show.
That was.
Yeah.
You did the show. You did beer cocktails, right?
Yeah, we did
right.
beer cocktails and all sorts of things. We
did,
drank
yes.
a lot. Yeah, it was fun.
Yes, we did.
That's it. I was under the weather.
Yep.
Brian stepped in and helped out, man. Yeah. So good times.
Had no idea at that point in time. It's like, oh, wow, that was nerve-wracking. I'll never do that again, though. That'll be fine.
So many times, Brian. So many times, yes. Jason, how's your week been, man?
It's been great. You know,
Yeah?
it's just big changes in my life since I had a daughter 4 months ago.
Oh, wow.
So-
Congratulations. I missed
Thank you so
that,
much.
So
Yeah.
I did. Okay.
And,
all right.
you know, it's the wife and I are kind of splitting the daycare. So that's
Okay.
been a whole new dynamic.
The pause there made me a little concerned. You know, the wife and I are splitting. I was like, this baby birth thing has not gone well, apparently.
It's gone great, but it's, you know, I'm home a lot more.
Good, cool.
Which
All
is
right.
great.
Yeah.
But, you know, I get to focus on her and other things and get to think about, like,
Yes.
big projects and things to do, which is nice.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. Absolutely fantastic. Brian Hewitt, how's your week been?
It's been pretty good. Maybe not as exciting or as involved as some weekends. I took it a little easy this week, but
Sometimes you got to chill, Brian.
yeah, I did get into a few older beers for the Drink Your Cellar picks. I got a Duck Rabbit Baltic Porter. Do you remember those?
Oh, Duck Rabbit. Yeah, that Baltic Porter's excellent, man. I
They're
haven't had
great.
one in
They
forever.
hold up well, and it's
Yeah.
probably 5 or 6 years old, the one I had. It was still really good. It had some interesting settled bits in the bottom of it, which I fortunately did not drink. I'm not sure what to make of those, but overall, the beer was phenomenal. It was just great. And for as long as it's sitting there, I have no idea. And they used to be one of the biggest deals in town, back in the day.
Now, when you mentioned that, I was thinking, man, I haven't heard Duck Rabbit mentioned in quite a while.
It's been a couple years.
I'm not even 100% sure they're still distributed down here. But
I don't think they are.
Yeah. But
you know,
love them.
those shelves have got competitive out there, man.
They are.
They
They're
have.
crowded shelves, sure enough. And then something we'll talk about a little bit later. Seltzer is taking shelf
Yeah.
space too.
Indeed.
College kids pouring shots in their Trulies
That's right.
and partying on, man. Just having a good
in the
time
parking
with it.
lots. And I also I doubled down. I actually got into Monday night's Thai 4 on. That, I believe,
Okay.
is also 5 years old.
I
It
was
was a
gonna say,
Belgian
yes,
quad.
yeah.
That held
yeah.
up really well, and
Nice.
I felt that one. That was
Did ya?
That one had
Okay.
some oomph to it. That's a good quad.
Have you bought your Thai 9 on package yet?
I
So-
have not.
I
No,
saw
they
I
had
probably
today.
should.
Yeah.
It's a sexy
Yeah.
glass that goes with it,
It
too.
is.
Yeah.
They said, I think it's the Thai 9 on Dumpster Fire 2020 package is what it's called there.
Then I'm
So-
all over it.
Yeah,
that
that's good
that
stuff.
describes my life. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
I've
for real.
enjoyed all of their anniversary beers that they've done there. They did, I think, for the 7th, it was 7 malts and 7 hops, if I remember
Something
correctly.
like that, yeah.
And I think they've done it something along those lines every year before. But then they said, they're like, you know, we're getting old enough now. It's kind of hard. It's like 9 malts, 9 hops, 10.
I believe-
Happy 20th anniversary.
On the
So,
Thai 4 on, I believe they had a little panel on the side of the bottle, the old 22 bottle, and I
Yeah.
believe it had 4 malts and 4 hops on it.
See?
Even
Yeah,
though it was
exactly.
a Belgian quad, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it was like Hebrew did that for a while, and they got to like
Oh.
13, and they said
That's
we've
right.
done enough. We're gonna scale
Sure.
it.
We've taken this far
You
enough.
get to a point, you're like, all right, you know, we can't really go much further with this. So.
Yeah.
Tim, what did you do
Brian,
this week?
You know what? Easy week. I was actually under the weather for a couple days, so I just kind of took it easy and recuperated. But we had a little fun this weekend. We were invited by the MASH Homebrew Club. That's the Marietta Association of Schoolhouse Homebrewers.
I think that's right.
So,
yeah.
They originally partnered with Schoolhouse Brewing back when Schoolhouse was just a homebrew shop, basically. But we got invited. Kind of a neat thing. They're doing a socially distanced homebrew competition where they're judging the beers just with untapped check-ins. So they shared the beers out with a select group of people and said, hey, please drink these and share them with your friends. Jason, if you got time after the show, maybe we'll judge a couple homebrews.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Man. So,
yeah, always fun.
Check them into Untapped, and that's how they're doing their homebrew competition.
Cool.
So after all of them are drank, I think they said their September meeting, they're going to look and see which one ends up on top there. So, guys, thanks so much for the invitation to judge your homebrews.
Yeah, thanks.
Quite a bit of fun.
And I had a cellar beer too. I didn't mention I had a 2017 Avance from Allagash, which is their like aged in bourbon barrels and with fresh strawberries. And the strawberries were just exploding. It was phenomenal.
I like everything that they do.
I love Allagash.
They do.
Fantastic.
My in-laws live up in Maine, so we normally have a pilgrimage every year to Allagash. And see my in-laws too, but we didn't get to do that this year. So so I broke out some old ones to remind myself about how much I love that place.
I love Allagash. Brian, what's that one that I really like?
El Tiarna.
That's it. Now I
found a bottle of that. I have a Tiarna.
Here's one reason I asked Brian that. I knew he'd know. Brian forgets nearly everything, but I can ask Brian, "Hey man, what beer is that from so and so they like?" And boom. He's going to know it. So
priorities.
If there's a lot Brian can't remember, but if you need some beer data, he's going to be there for you.
Now, do you remember your own beers or just Tim's beers?
I remember my well, sometimes.
Okay. Mostly.
I have Untapped for that, honestly.
But
so.
yes, but they're all good. But yes, El Tiarno's really good.
Speaking of beer, Tim, beers of the week. Let's talk about those.
Crack open a cold one. It's the Truck and Tap Beer of the Week. Woo-hoo! Craft beer and food trucks in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com.
Well, Brian, as always, we've got a great selection here. It's all about Second Self Beer Company this week. We are currently drinking their La Fria Caribbean Lager. We'll talk a little more about that in depth later, but it's delicious. I absolutely love it. And I feel like I'm cheating on Oktoberfest a little bit. It's got a little bit of that toasty kind of flavor there. We're also going to get into their Game Night IPA, and we're going to sip some seltzer, Brian, as much as we love seltzer, as anyone who listens to the show knows. But they've got Second Self has a brand of Rudy's hard seltzer, so we're going to get into some of those. And Cirrus, I believe, is your CBD water. So they're getting all the craft beverages out there. So that is on the list for today, Brian. We'll see how it goes. And Brian, what is happening this week in the news?
What's in the news? The beer guys have the scoop.
Extra, read all about it.
Time for headlines.
All right, so we've got a new experimental hop announcement. Talus brand HBC 692 is now commercially available. It's a product of the Hop Breeding Company, which is a joint venture between Yakima Chief and John I. Haas. I'm not sure how you say the last name there. Thanks to craftbrewingbusiness.com, we know that Talus delivers big, bold aromas of pink grapefruit, citrus rinds, dried roses, pine resin, tropical fruits, and sage. So very unusual,
dynamic hop, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was intended to be unusual, so it's bred with hop-forward beers and minds, as you might expect. And speaking of breeding, this Talus is an offspring of Sabro, which we also knew as HB 438, and an unspecified Northwest hop. So it's a lot of interesting kind of sub-breeding going on there. But Neo-Mexicanus is, I think, the ancestor of both this and Sabro. So
it is super interesting to look at the family tree of hops and see what's going on. As we've mentioned a few times, Stan Hieronymus does his Hop Queries newsletter.
Yeah.
And he mentioned a new one this month in his newsletter that said, this is the grandmother, this is the father, this is this. And I'm like, it's just so fascinating to see where these come from.
All right, so a sad sign of the times. Global Keg, the world's largest beer keg rental company, has filed for bankruptcy. This, of course, to the ongoing pandemic shutdowns of bars and restaurants and whatnot. In short, nobody is renting kegs anymore these days, and breweries are increasingly switching to cans as a preferred beer delivery mechanism. But the good news is the company isn't completely out of business as of yet. Global Keg is in the early stages of restructuring under bankruptcy protection, and they're hoping that the coronavirus will be conquered pretty soon.
Hopefully for all of us, right? Absolutely.
Indeed. Agreed.
You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take a break. But we'll be back very soon to talk more with Second Self Beer Company.
Have you ever thought about owning your own brewery but don't know what it takes to get one built? We're Storytime Construction, and we build breweries. We're Georgia's most experienced and hands-on contractors when it comes to building new breweries and tap rooms, or expanding existing breweries. We offer full build-outs, remodeling, and additions, as well as consulting and construction management. Give us a call at 770-733-4343. Storytime Construction. We build breweries.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to Beer Guys Radio Show. Remember, all episodes are available on demand, so if you missed the broadcast, get the podcast. Beer Guys Radio is available on all popular and unpopular podcasting apps.
All of them.
All of them. Now let's get back to our talk with Second Self Beer Company.
Jason Santamaria, sir, thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Always good to have you. It's been a little while since we've had someone in the studio. So it's really nice, with all this social distancing we're having to do and masks and lockdowns and everything. It's cool to actually get somebody in here, rather than doing the remote. So thanks for joining us. We're enjoying your beers. We're currently sipping your La Fria, which is a Caribbean lager. What makes a lager a Caribbean lager, Jason?
I grew up Cuban by background, so it was my parents didn't drink beer. Like, none of my family really did, and if they did, it was just light, crushable lagers. So that was kind of what it was. And then when my grandfather talks about beer in Cuba, the closest thing we had was Bohemia, which you can still get around here, but it's it's always like a year old if you ever get it now.
Yes, yeah.
But it's just a light, sit on the beach, crush it all day lager. So it's like 4.5%. It's closer to American style than like a Vienna style. Like you mentioned, there's a touch of corn in it and a touch of C10 to give it the color.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
what I was gonna say. You get the
not
little
a
bit of
lot to
toasty,
it. Yeah,
a little bit of toasty, a little bit of the corn sweetness there, and that, but super light and just really enjoyable, flavorful and enjoyable, but light and easy drinking.
It's a happy beer, Tim.
It's a happy beer.
So it drinks happily.
Yes.
Yeah, it does, and it's the name of Fria means the cold one. The picture is, it's all like you're on the beach, you're on the boat, you're having a good time, and this is what you want.
La
little
Fria,
bit of Miami
Cerveza,
in there.
por favor.
Well, maybe I guess wouldn't be Miami. I haven't been to Puerto Rico, but
Is
it
that-
looks like
that is
the
San Juan.
pastels.
It is
okay.
okay.
Is that San Juan?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And this is a collaboration too, isn't
It
it?
is, yeah. We collaborated with my abuelas, who we've worked with before, with El Velorio, which we released for our anniversary last year. That was a beer inspired by Puerto Rican hot chocolate.
Oh, yes.
I have a lot of Cuban heritage, I don't get to visit Cuba, but I visited Puerto Rico a bunch, and they're fun.
I was going to ask you what a Puerto Rican hot chocolate is.
Yeah, so in Latin cultures in general, when someone passes, you have a wake, and it's basically just a giant party. You celebrate their life, and the way my uncle puts it, he's like, whenever I pass, I want you to deal me into poker and make sure I have a lit cigar and a scotch at all times.
I like
There we go, man. Let's
that's
do
like
it.
a good description of
Okay.
what these wakes would be. So, and you also have basically coffee and hot chocolate mixed together. So, and that's kind of like the, keep you going, some sugar, some caffeine, keep the party rocking. But it's kind of like what you drink at a wake.
Cinnamon or no cinnamon in that?
No cinnamon.
No cinnamon.
No cinnamon.
Okay.
Yeah. That's more like the Mexican hot chocolate.
Okay.
See, I can't keep up with it. Now, you mentioned My Abuelas. My Abuelas is a restaurant,
Yes.
correct? Yes. It's a Puerto Rican?
Puerto Rican, yep. And they're
Okay.
right on the belt line. They operate out of the Spindle, which is a bike shop and coffee bar.
Okay.
So they've
Bike
been,
shop, coffee bar, Puerto Rican restaurant?
Absolutely,
is that right?
yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, so they've been
Absolutely.
doing pop-ups for a couple years, and they just got a space, right in March is when they got it. So
Good timing.
they've had a
Yeah.
good, a little bit, like everyone else.
Sure.
What's going on?
Absolutely.
But they're doing great, and they make some amazing food.
Good
So,
stuff.
yeah.
Well, I think the collaborative effort there of having three places together probably helps out at least a little bit.
Yeah,
rather
yeah,
than
absolutely. And a lot of
carrying
people
it
are
all
biking
yourself.
right now
Yeah.
because it's the roads are more open.
I'm looking at the can to see if there's any bikes on there.
No bikes at all.
Hey, you know, an interesting fact that I actually found out, there's certain things you find out and you mistakenly think everybody kind of knows it. And you mentioned the Vienna Lager, because I'd kind of compared it to a Vienna Lager earlier. But Vienna Lager, someone was talking about Arches Brewing does one called Mexican Empire.
Right.
And they were talking about Cinco de Mayo and drinking, Mexican Empire, and someone made the comment, they're like, well, other than the name, it doesn't have anything to do with Mexico. I'm like, well, actually, Vienna Lager is a fairly traditional Mexican lager style, because of the people that immigrated to Mexico were from, I remember it's a German-speaking country, but I don't remember the exact.
Probably
Austria?
Austria.
Where Vienna
Austria.
is?
You know what?
Sorry,
you know what, man? That's I deserve that. I kind of had that one coming to me, didn't I? Yes. Thanks, Jason. But
you're welcome.
You can come back anytime.
Yeah, brutal. So yeah, the Vienna Lager from that one country there. So it is actually, the Vienna Lager is a fairly traditional Mexican lager. So
and there's there's like Negro Modelo is a nice darker lager, and there's a whole rainbow of lagers.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
It's kind of a neglected style in craft beer until more recently. But I've always said that when craft beer can make a good affordable lager is when we can actually beat macro beer.
Absolutely. When you can do that, when you go pick up a 30 rack from your craft brewer and enjoy
that'd be
it,
killer. But yeah.
fill up the cooler and have a good time, man.
Or
that's it.
The 100 rack,
the 99 pack,
the 100 rack,
the 99 pack.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
But in most American takes on quote unquote Mexican lager are they're just a light fit. They're Corona-esque, or something like that. So it's a little different vibe there.
So you know what? Let's change gears. Second Self, you're making some changes.
We are, yeah.
What's happening?
Last year we celebrated our 5th year anniversary, so it's kind of a time to kind of retrospect and what we're going to do differently. And so we started the process of kind of refocus, rebranding on what we're doing, and and we had grand plans of redoing our tasting room and everything, but they're kind of all on hold for, I don't know, something's going on in the world. I don't know what's happening.
Reasons,
right?
Yeah.
But we're kind of just doing it a little bit at a time with the beer. So the idea is that we interviewed a lot of our guests and a lot of people who love our beer, what they love about us, and it's kind of the playfulness, the retro, kind of nostalgic kind of feel that we've created in our tap room. And we're kind of just amplifying that up. So game night was kind of the beer to kind of set that stake of like, hey, we're going to embrace like retro nostalgia fun. And it's that time when, and it kind of fits now even better because it's, when I think about, fun times in my childhood, it was staying up late with my cousins playing games and just not having a care in the world. And that would be so great right now if that's all I had to worry about.
Wouldn't it be? Man, I think all of us have done a little retrospective of our lives. Be like, man, it sure would be good to be at these times or whatever.
I can remember playing, what was it? GoldenEye Bonds.
Oh, absolutely.
Was it Nintendo 64?
64.
In a small fraternity house room where everybody was stacked all over themselves playing that, and I was terrible at it. But we were sitting there just drinking beer, hours and hours and hours.
GoldenEye was a game changer game.
Yeah,
it changed
absolutely.
the genre there. Sure, yeah.
I have no idea how I even passed college. I mean, we were there so long. I'm surprised I'm not still there. It seemed like it went on for good times. Yeah.
And that may have been, could you save GoldenEye? Was that a game you could save and go back up? Because that's right around the time when
I don't know.
It used to be if you didn't beat the game, you had to marathon it or you were out of luck. There was no saving and coming back later.
And then the 64 era,
that's when you started having game saves, right?
I mean, you had saves as early as the first Zelda.
That is true, yeah.
On the NES?
On the NES.
That's right. I never actually saved it. We were always playing the 4-panel.
The multiplayer.
People shooting each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just play the missions. I never even saw the missions.
It's all about killing your buddy, right?
That's exactly right.
You guys want to have some beers and shoot at each other? Yes, I do.
We do. Yes,
I do.
please.
And we will until 4 in the morning.
Yes, and we did. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so going back, that's really the big changes that we're trying to do. We will eventually get to our tasting room changes. It's just, I don't have a timeline for it at this point.
Do it when you can, when the pandemic ends, and get back on it, right?
What do you have in mind for tasting room changes?
Yeah, it's kind of just embracing that too. So we actually worked with Square Feet Studios, who has done a lot of great spaces around town, and we've kind of designed it's like somewhere between your living room you grew up in is kind of the thing, and we're gonna make like a Blade Runner arcade. It was the idea as well. So we had some arcade games we added last year, I just wanted like Blade Runner to throw up in a room kind of thing, because I just love that synth wave neon stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any pinball games?
We don't have any pinball right now, but I mean it's on the table. I mean we can.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, it's a
It could
possibility
happen.
for sure.
So,
Okay.
I'll put that in my suggestion box.
Yeah, please.
Brought that
if
with
you
me.
could. Yeah.
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 I saw something interesting. So the last Blockbuster did like a limited Airbnb thing where they set up an 80s living room like with a VHS player in that inside the last
You
Blockbuster.
know we love good
Yeah.
beer.
And only
Athletic
locals,
Brewing makes
only
non-alcoholic
locals could get
beer
it
Yeah.
that stands
and
shoulder
check
to
in
shoulder with
Bend,
their
Oregon,
boozy
right?
brethren.
That's right. The
So a
last, the
fraction
very
of
last
calories
one.
and
Bend,
People
certified
love that retro
organic.
stuff,
It's a
man.
great
They
beer
do.
to enjoy anytime.
You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Athletics
We
got
do
new
need to take
brews
a
like
break.
Cerveza
but we'll be
Atletica
back
just
very
in
soon
time
with
for
more
summer.
from
Check
Second
out the
Self
full
Beer
selection at athleticbrewing.com. Use code BG25 for 25% off your first order, and U.S. customers get free nationwide shipping. Athletic Brewing, brew without compromise.
It's Brian and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock, Alpharetta, and Duluth are always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy, Brian. They've got 18 of them.
As for the truck part, that's where it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks, so you're getting a different menu every day.
Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock, Alpharetta, and Duluth.
Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
I didn't enjoy it at all.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I want to give a quick shout out to our newest radio affiliate, KNUJ, 860 AM and 97.3 FM in New Ulm, Minnesota. Catch Beer Guys Radio and KNUJ every Saturday at 4 a.m. and 8 p.m. local time. Let's get back to our conversation with Second Self Beer Company.
Brew Beer Company, huh?
Brew Beer Company.
We brew beer, yes.
Yes.
That's it. That's the way
Brew
it
it.
works, man.
Brew
That's the
that
way it
beer.
works.
Brew it.
Brew it, they will come.
Jason Santamaria, we wanted to ask you, sir, a little follow-up question, kind of with talking about the changes in the branding there. And what's going to change about your lineup? Because like Thai wheat, is Thai wheat going to stick around?
Thai wheat's going to stick around. Thai wheat's still, 30,
Okay.
40% of what we do.
Yeah.
So that's not going to go anywhere.
All right.
And it's one of the ones that we're definitely known for that. The big changes is the Golden Blonde we had out for about a year and a half. That's been replaced by Fria. It's
Okay.
kind of another light beer. And then we retired Vikings of the South, we made that with Terminus Legion. It was a Kavik IPA.
All right.
And then that's being replaced by this beer in front of me.
Vikings of the South, Terminus Legion, Atlanta United, related.
Correct,
All that
yeah,
little
all that.
MLS action stuff, right? So, and Game Night, as we talked about, Game Night is an evolution or a leveling up of a previous beer, right?
Yeah.
I want to thank No Mike Nathan for the leveling up comment there. We appreciate that, Nathan. So, so we've got Game Night here. It's got a cool non-branded arcade control or home game controller,
Home console
on there
controller of
and that.
kinds, yes.
Well, there was a previous beer you made that was really popular that is based off of, but due to some licensing issues, couldn't continue with that one. So Game Night is kind of the next level of that beer, correct?
Yeah, I mean, in more ways than that. I mean, this
Yeah.
was a couple years ago. We had a beer Triforce, and it did very well. But it just kind of hit a peak and did drop off. And so like
Yeah.
anything else, and so Vikings actually replaced Triforce.
Okay.
We had found that new yeast Kavik. I thought it was really cool and different. Really wanted to highlight it, but we just missed the beer. We missed the liquid, and so we wanted to kind of go back to that. And we kept working on the recipe. It's a very different recipe than what it was, but I mean it's where it started.
The profile on this is phenomenal.
Thank
I
you.
mean, because you've got the hops in there, and as I've mentioned many, many times before, I don't like a lot of bitterness. There's enough bitterness in this to keep it balanced. So it's not like your super hazy Northeast IPA. There's just a really good balance of flavors in that. So double dry hopped, right?
Yep, double dry hop with
Yeah.
Citra and Mosaic.
Citra
We're
and
using
Mosaic, cool.
Centennial to give it that kind of bitterness back end.
Right.
But not a lot. It's real soft. Oats and wheat in addition to barley. A little bit of C10 again, just to give it some color. But yeah, it's a fun product, and it was 2 years ago. When we were brewing Triforce, and then on to Vikings, we experimented a lot with this double dry hopping technique, and we just got better and better at it, frankly.
Right. Yeah.
And I think this is a peak of what we've done. And I give all the credit to our head brewer Austin. He really worked on this recipe since then.
Good stuff.
We approve.
Yeah.
I have to ask, if I push the buttons on this controller that's on the can in the right order, does it unlock a different hop?
Yeah, there's actually another can inside that can if you do it. But I can't tell you what it is.
Can't tell you. If you figure it out, you win.
So it's up,
if you
down,
call our
left,
hotline
right.
and then for $39.99 a minute, we can help you out.
The second self-advisors will be there for you, man. They'll help you out.
So you have a culinary background, and we haven't asked yet. So with a beer like this, and you're thinking about, I want to eat something, what do you put with game night?
Yeah, I mean, so it's a fruitier, tropical fruit kind of IPA. So, I mean, I love wings with IPAs in general because I like how it accents the heat. I like the more heat that hops can bring out. Some people like to mute it. I like to accent it. I also love any like cheddar cheeses are great with something like this because it's a good contrast pairing. And then anything, I love smoked pork. That's what the next thing I would do.
Smoked pork.
I'm going to throw out something there. If I'm sitting around game night, man, I'm thinking this is going to pair nice with a bag of Doritos, too.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Right?
That's that cheddar cheese right there,
Yeah.
right? Or nacho cheese.
So the Totino's pizza rolls would be good. We got some Funyuns in there.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
Code Red Mountain Dew, whatever.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Mix them half and half. Wait,
Beer
that's
cocktails
that's a
like
beer
the last
cocktail,
show,
right?
right?
Yeah. That's an interesting thing you say about that. I've noticed that with IPAs, anything that's hot that I drink, and I never really thought too much about it, it does seem to magnify it. Is it the carbonation or is it the hop oils?
It's the bitterness of the hops.
Is it the bitterness of oils?
It's going to take that heat and really bring it up.
Because it'll make that fizz right up the back of your nose.
Yeah, like if you have some spicy Indian food and an IPA, it's going to fire.
That's why you drink 500 ml of Kingfisher.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, with most spicy food cultures, it's going to be something closer to like a La Fria, where it's just light and easy.
I miss Kingfisher. I haven't seen one of those around in a while.
I don't remember if it was Kingfisher or Hayward's, but
Hayward's 5,000.
one of them they quit distributing in the United States. I remember that. So.
It might be Hayward's.
Kingfisher is still here.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's Hayward's.
Yeah,
Rip Hayward's.
and that's that's never a beer I'm going to grab to like have at home or anything, but. Put me out with with some curry. And,
you go to an Indian restaurant, you want a Hayward.
Heck yeah, man.
I was at a package store recently, and an Indian guy said, "Hey, come here," and I didn't know anything about the beer. He's like, "If you want something really good, get this." And they had bottles. I think they're Tall Boys or 22s.
They're 500 mils, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what they were. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, he's a nice guy. He's all right. I'll try this out. I had it. I'm like, this is really good. And I had it at an Indian restaurant, and now it's gone. Tim,
now it's gone. Way to go, Brian. Way to go.
Just ruin everything.
I don't know if I can carry on.
You know what, Brian? We're going to try and fill the gap in your heart left by the departure.
All right, focus on second
self. 7,000 grab, 8,000 grab.
You'll find one. So, Jason, a little bit more on the culinary side of things. So, does the culinary drive the beer drive, culinary? Do you go into it thinking of the foods that a beer could pair with, or inspired by the flavors?
And it's actually a big change. Thinking back throughout the years, that was actually how I started most of my beer recipes to start with. Was what do I eat and what beers go well with it? I mean, Thai wheat's a great example.
That's what
it's an obvious that one right there. But I've actually taken further steps back from the brewing process, and the team is. I mean, they're better brewers than I ever was, so no reason for me to get involved.
Got to put a good team together, right?
So they're creating better liquid than we've ever made, and I'm thinking about the pairings on the back end side of it.
Okay, gotcha. Let them take care of that there, huh?
Now, something I think you told me the last time I visited the brewery, all of your beers are vegan, right? Or all of your liquid is vegan, is that correct?
All of our distributed beers are vegan. We've done a handful of, and really like 3 beers that are taproom only. But yeah, we're all vegan process. So all natural, all vegan across the board.
So that's got to make it tough to make a milkshake IPA, right?
Yeah, and we don't. That's
there you go.
Now I did see something on Facebook.
So we did one for our tap room using lactose, and then we immediately decided we wanted to see if we could make a vegan one. So we've been playing with different vegan adjuncts that would give the same sweetness without using lactose.
Okay, gotcha. I know oat milk seems to be the trendy.
That's actually what we use.
Milk right now.
And oat milk is oats and water. So we actually did use oat milk for our testing, but we could just use a boatload of oats because we have a mash tun.
See,
so does almond milk not work as well, or
it can?
I guess you can milk everything, right?
Now you can, because
sure.
you can make anything milk apparently. Almonds would work too. It is an allergen.
Because
it's a nut.
That's right.
So it's a nut. So The whole reason why we do this, I don't want to give anyone a reason not to have our product. I'm not vegan specifically. I just talked about eating wings and pork.
Right.
But it just, I think it's, if we can do it, let's do it.
See, we don't need any swim bladders in our beer. I'm like, there's no reason for that.
No, there's not.
None at all.
No. You can make a tasty beer without these things. So
and
why not
if you want a sweeter beer, I mean, we change our mash temperatures to make sure there's less fermentable sugars, and like we released Dad Made Breakfast and Stepdad Made Breakfast. Both of those were breakfast stouts that were vegan, and we changed our mash temperature because that's why they were so sweet. We didn't add anything to it.
Stepdad Made Breakfast, man, that sounds almost, if you have one called Dad Made Breakfast, it sounds, Stepdad Made Breakfast, it's like an ashtray. And
does it come with a backhand?
That was a joke. So it had a bunch of, it had a bunch of just
Cheerios with beer.
Well, it was blueberries, maple syrup, and then Granddad Made Breakfast we're having for an anniversary, and that's Dad Made Breakfast that's been barrel aged.
Okay, that's it.
So whiskey,
throw some whiskey in it, man. That sounds like a good way to go for sure.
So you can get the bacon out of it by just smoking the malts, right? I mean, that gives you a really good smoky bacony kind of flavor in a lot of beers. So yeah,
good stuff. Well, you're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We need to take another break here, but we're going to be back very soon with more from Jason Santamaria at Second Self. It's time to take your snack back with bold flavors that complement your latest brew. Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds will do just that with flavors like Korean Kimchi Barbecue, Honey Chipotle, Cilantro Lime, and more. Munch on these beer-friendly bacon bites right out of the bag, or crush them in your favorite recipes as a substitute for breading. Find your next bag at Kroger, or go to southernrecipesmallbatch.com for recipes and a buy two, get one coupon. That's southernrecipesmallbatch.com.
Craft beer forged with a reverence for tradition and new styles that start a revolution. Ironmonger Brewing. The brewers at Ironmonger Brewing pride themselves at being masters of barrel-aged, hoppy, and sour beers. They invite you to their tap room in Marietta, Georgia to taste and see. Also visit their barrel room for an intimate drinking experience with great live entertainment. Keep up to date on all things Ironmonger by liking them on Facebook. Ironmonger Brewing, establishing a new standard in craft beer.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
I believe you have my stapler.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. Patrons get cool perks like Beer Guys swag and commercial-free episodes. Now let's get back to Second Self Brewing Beer Company or Beer Brewing Company. All of those.
At least make sure you get the Second Self part right.
Yes, Second Self is definitely part of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jason, one thing, what exactly does it mean, Second Self? And I looked this up a little bit to see exactly what you meant by it.
It came, from the era when I was working on the brand and everything, and so I had my corporate job, and this was my second self, my alter ego. That's really where the name come from. But it can mean a lot more than that, and we kind of think of it more as thinking about that time when you can kind of go and relax, because not everyone is interested in the side hustle.
I was going to say, it's the side hustle. It's the beverage of your side hustle.
Yeah.
The beverage of your side hustle. There you go. I don't think anyone's capitalizing on that market.
Oh, yeah.
So the beverage of your side hustle. Absolutely. But now it is your main hustle.
It's my main hustle. The joke is because, I'm creating all these other beverages. People are wondering which one's my new second self.
See, I think you're third self now, maybe,
right?
I'm
third, working on fourth.
Fourth self. But you know what? This is a sign of success when you're having to do your brewery as your side hustle while you work your corporate job, and then you get to do it as your main job, and then you get to take more time to be a dad. That's where you level up, man.
Yeah.
That's some level up. Yes. Good stuff. But we want to talk a little bit about your distribution footprint, because you've got kind of interesting. So here in the States, you're in 3 states now, is that right?
Yeah, correct. We're in Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina. Yep. And then we're soon expanding to Puerto Rico, which is a big deal, since we'll be the first Georgia craft brewery in Puerto Rico.
How about that? How in the world did Puerto Rico come to be?
We got a lot of press from the El Valario that we made in October. And my abuelas, Luis, is who runs that. He actually went Puerto Rico for Christmas, brought the beer down, met with a distributor, and they're like, hey, I love this. Let's give me that guy's contact. And that's where it kind of started.
Deal, man.
So
Absolutely.
he was the deal maker to make it all happen. We were supposed to ship everything this week, but because of the hurricanes, it's been delayed a little bit.
Gotcha.
So they're going to start with El Valorio, and then they're bringing on La Fria, and then Game Night Thai Wheat, and they're going to bring back Havana Night because they want that too.
Okay. How is the craft beer scene there? I don't know much about the Puerto Rico craft beer scene.
It's growing real fast. So, I mean, there is craft beer there. I mean, but it's Stone, Harpoon, big Stone, big craft. Right. And there's a very small craft breweries there just getting up and going, but they're thirsty and hungry for more. And you got to remember, I mean, this is so much further south. I mean, it is hot year round. So a beer like La Fria is perfect.
I was going to say stouts are for summer, so you're going to send them a lot of stouts, right?
They loved the Imperial Porter, and they wanted it year round.
Okay.
So
there you go.
I condone that.
If you live in that kind of climate, you just get used to it.
Exactly.
Sure.
You're used to the heat.
Just go.
Big, heavy foods, big, heavy beer. Just makes perfect sense.
As soon as you walk into any place with air conditioning, you're like, oh, I guess I need a stout now.
Air conditioning? What?
Okay. I'm just saying hypothetically, if you did.
Maybe, yeah.
So the Havana Nights thing, that's a guava beer?
It's a guava sour, correct.
Guava sour. Yeah. I thought, is that discontinued here and just going to be exclusive to them?
So we moved our sours kind of every other year. So it was Havana one year, then Maverick, and they kind of go back and forth in the summer. That's how we've been doing it. We got a lot of people request Havana come back this year, so it might just be a summer thing continuously.
Seasonals.
I do like the guava in the beer.
Yeah, and it's actually we got some new equipment too, so we're actually going to be upping the guava a good bit next year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, that sounds pretty tasty, man. Now, in addition to beer, man, you're getting your hands in all the craft beverages, right?
Yeah, so pretty much.
We've got Seltzer here that we've talked about. There's CBD water.
Yep.
You do some canned coffees.
Yep, we're making some canned coffees.
You said as part of the evolution or the next level up, the fourth self, there's going to be possibly some RTD cocktails, correct?
Right.
So, how did you get into these other Seltzer, man? A big thing. I guess that one kind of answers itself, right?
Well, so Seltzer, I started working on this project in 2018 because I thought Seltzers would be the next big thing.
Okay.
And then they became the next big thing.
Right.
So I jumped ship and focused on Cirrus, which is our CBD soda line. It's non-alcoholic. And then that was launched in early 2019. And then I kept working on the hard seltzers. I wanted it to be all natural. Didn't want any carbs in it. I wanted it very dry. We launched that this March. No one probably heard of it because it happened in March. And
terrible time for anything to happen, right?
But it's called Rudy's Hard Seltzer, and the name comes from, it's my grandfather's nickname, and he's the one who's kind of my culinary guide in my life. He had a restaurant, and he's the one who came from Cuba and lived the American dream. Has been a big inspiration for me, so I kind of wanted to give that nod to the hat to him.
Good stuff.
He taught me how to brew beer and make sodas and stuff like that too.
Okay.
So,
It's interesting you talk about the launch time on that with March and that, and at least you didn't name it something like Pandemic Seltzer. Because I remember back during the tsunami several years ago, there was a sushi restaurant that launched like the day after it was their grand opening. It was called Tsunami Sushi.
Bad time.
They're like, y'all, there's just this
is
just
terrible.
Not
You should have delayed that a bit.
So, Rudy's is a better name.
Thanks.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I want a Rudy's. Like, it's a great, rolls off the tongue.
I want a Rudy's,
nice,
man. Give me a Rudy's.
Yeah.
You have to do some cool internet videos for that, like your super sexy Top Gun volleyball scene.
I know.
Yeah.
we've been having fun with that. We've been doing a weekly playlist, or not quite as weekly recently, but I mean, for a while we were doing, every week a dumb video on Friday paired with a beer and a playlist. You can get them both on Spotify or Apple.
And you said each of your beers have a playlist.
Yeah.
And you go to the website. If you visit Second Cell's website, you can find the playlist link from there, right?
Yeah, not all of them have them right now, but we're working on building them all out.
Get them together.
So, now, as we've done them, we've added them.
Now with Game Night, is it all like instrumental versions of game?
There's a lot of
game soundtrack,
nerdcore
8-bit stuff there.
Yeah.
And then again, I put a bunch of synthwave beer stuff on there because I just love that stuff.
Oh,
That's
cool.
good.
Cool. I have to ask about this because I think I have to ask you every time I see you. Manic Pixie Dream. Are we going to ever see that again? I don't even see that listed on the website. It's only a memory to.
Well, so
those
the concept of Manic Pixie, it's a movie trope. That's the woman who's perfect and unattainable. So it will come back when it comes back. And so
when we're ready for it,
when you're ready for it or not.
Quit asking questions,
So
Brian.
that was Manic Pixie number 1. Number 2 will be different. We have some stuff in barrels that is a contender for Manic Pixie number 2, actually.
Okay.
All right. So very seriously could come back at any time.
At any time, yeah. And it's really, we have to all agree, this is that level good to give it that name.
Okay.
It has to be that,
Absolutely.
that
It's got
exotic,
to earn the
that
title. It's got to earn
unattainable.
the
Yeah.
title.
It's a title earned, not given. That's a good way to say it. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So something we've talked about pairing beer with food, but we have not talked about pairing beer with games. Have you done game and beer pairings? Now, video games, tabletop games, pinball games, anything. Like, for example, if we were to play Legend of Zelda, what would we pair that with?
I mean, obviously, game night.
I think so.
It's a
man.
layup right there.
But hang on, you've answered that. What about Gauntlet?
Ooh, Gauntlet, I'd want something a little darker.
Okay.
You know, I'd probably go with the El Valorio, or like a nice darker porter.
I can
Yeah,
appreciate
you're,
that.
you're going through dungeons, you're fighting
All right.
terrible things.
Gauntlet's great, but that made me think of Altered Beast. Do you remember Altered
Yes,
Beast?
I do
Oh, yeah.
remember Altered Beast.
Yes.
How about Altered Beast?
Altered Beast, I go with something like boozy and in your face.
Okay.
Oh.
So just
Wasn't
like
that the
a
one that had the
double
line,
IPA.
Rise from your grave?
Yes.
Yes. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
How about like Risk or Mario?
I think
Risk or Mario? That's a
I'm just throwing both of
jump
those out there.
so.
Whatever comes to
they're very
mind.
different. I would do a lager for Risk because
Lager?
you have to play that for what 35 hours or something.
Yeah,
That's
to
probably
beat the
true.
game.
Yeah.
So, but Mario, I mean, you're playing all the time. So you need one of those beer hats with beers on
there
both
you go.
sides.
But they would probably both be lagers.
And they-
though.
I
I'm
would-
like,
I
I
would
think
go
you go
lagers,
lagers.
yeah.
La Fria.
Yeah,
La
Fria
Fria
with
in
both.
the Mario
Yeah.
hat.
One in the hat and one in the one on the
Yeah.
really nice wooden table with all of your expensive pieces for
Oh, there you
yeah,
go.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
It's a conquest beer, Tim.
I wasn't big on Risk. Stratego was one
Ooh,
I really
Stratego.
enjoyed.
I never played
the
Stratego actually.
That's
yeah.
very mysterious. Would that be a darker beer, maybe?
I don't know. I haven't played it. I can't.
Oh,
I can't
okay,
pair
okay,
those.
yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I also used to really
Whiskey.
enjoy
That'd be whiskey. I think.
fighting with the entire family over a game of Monopoly. That's always
That's
good
good
time,
times.
so,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that's like tequila. Like you're just
Yeah,
angry
don't
fighting.
don't mess with the beer. Just go ahead. Get you some Cuervo. Roll your sleeves up. You know what you're going in.
It's
for
not a
there.
Monopoly game until someone gets in a fist fight.
That is a
Yeah,
good point.
yeah.
So, if you're playing pinball, old school stand-up pinball, what beer should you be drinking from Second Self?
I'd go with Thai weed.
Thai wheat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
Keeps
there you
those has the antioxidant properties from the ginger and the lemongrass.
Gotta
Keeps you
run that.
healthy.
Keep those fingers
No.
uninflamed.
Man, I'm not trying to punk Jason out here, but I almost think pinball's a PBR kind of game.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think
you know, 70s hang out there, play your.
It's
got to
be something in a can because you can put it on the pinball machine.
Yeah, but if he's
That's
asking
good
you
glass.
for recommendations, you're not telling PBR.
Yeah, I'm
it's
going
all
to
about the
recommend
Second Self
our
beer.
product or another craft
Of course,
product.
of course, man, absolutely. Yeah, so good stuff.
So, Jason, if people want to keep up with what's happening at Second Self, where should they go?
Yeah, best thing you do is find us on Facebook at Second Self ATL, on Instagram or Second Self Beer, and our website is secondselfbeer.com. We got plenty of stuff going on, big releases coming out, and plenty of fun things to do.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Jason, thank you again, man. We really appreciate
It was a
you
pleasure.
joining
Thank
us.
you so much for having me.
You bet, man. That about wraps it up for this episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show. Join us next week for one of our favorite shows of the year, Brian Hewitt.
Oh, yes.
It is our annual Oktoberfest blind beer tasting show. We're going to have some snacks, some brats, some pretzels. We're going to blind taste a lot of Oktoberfest beers, tell you our favorites. For more craft beer info, follow us online. We are Beer Guys Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers.